Hey guys, this is Benny Ricciardi with rotocurve.com, and I had a little bit of free time on my hands, so I decided to give you guys an extra video today. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the NBA guys that I've been looking at that I'm going to be putting on my roster today and give you some of the reasonings why. We'll go position by position. So starting at the point guard position, it looks like Jeff Teague's going to be out again today. If Teague is out, that means that Dennis Schroeder is a great play. He's 4,600 over on DraftKings and definitely somebody who's going to be in a lot of my lineups at the point guard spot. I do like to roll out 2 point guards when I put together a lot of my DraftKings lineups, so there are a couple other guys I've been looking at as well. In spots where I can pay up, I obviously love Steph Curry. I love Steph Curry every day. Again, you don't need to get 60 points out of Steph Curry or 65 points out of Steph Curry for him to really have a good game. If he gets you somewhere in that 55 to 60 range, he's going to be one of the useful players that you had on your team that can help you cash in a tournament. So don't get too caught up on the 6X thing when you're looking at a guy who's that expensive. If you know he's going to get you over 50, 55 points, it still makes him a pretty solid option that you can roll out there if you have the money. 2 other guys in the mid-range who I think can go big today. We have Moutier and Michael Carter-Williams are both at that $6,000 range. In the spots where I haven't paid up for Steph, I've basically come down to the decision of which of those 2 guys I really want to use. Both of them are capable of putting up some pretty big numbers. You probably need about 30, 35 points out of both of them today. And I think you can definitely get that out of them both, in decent matchups and them having the high usage and the high minutes that they do. Moving on to the shooting guard spot, Will Barton is the start of the day for me. He's 4,700, and he's been doing quite a bit for that Denver team lately. So he is probably the one guy who I definitely want to make sure I have in my lineups. There are a couple other cheap options that you can look at. J.R. Smith at 4,200 is somebody I'm contemplating right now. And a guy like Rondé Hollis-Jefferson from the Nets at 3,300 is getting a lot of minutes and putting up some decent scores lately. So those are the 3 guys I'm really looking at. I don't think there's anybody worth paying up for at the 2 guard spot today, and it's definitely a position that I'm going to be looking to save on. Moving over to the small forward spot, I really, really like Andre Iguodala, especially if Klay Thompson's out and especially if Klay Thompson and Draymond Green are out. If you're missing guys like Thompson and Green, you're going to see 30, 35 minutes out of Iguodala, and he's basically a guy who – I got to thank Ricky Sanders over at Fantasy Draft for this. We were talking about it last night. He actually outproduces Harrison Barnes on a per-minute basis when he's on the floor. So Barnes has been seeing 30, 31 minutes and putting up, about 0.8 fantasy points per minute, ending with about 24, 25 points, somewhere in that range. If you're going to get the same 30 to 35 minutes out of Iguodala with a couple of these guys out tonight, you should be able to get 0.9 times 30 or 27 to 30 fantasy points out of him. At a price below 5,000, if he gets you 30 fantasy points, you're going to be very happy today. And that's basically where we would project him at if you got guys like Klay Thompson and Draymond Green who are not going to be in the game, which looks like a real possibility at this point. A couple other guys that we can look at the small forward position. I do like Nick Batum. He's been playing very well lately. Prices started to come up a little bit, but he has been putting up some big numbers, contributing across the board and playing big minutes. So he's another guy that I think we can look at. Also, always been a big fan of Giannis Antetokounmpo, or however you say his last name, because I never say it right anyway. He's $7,000 though, and he fits into your lineups pretty nice. Guys like Nerlens Noel, these are guys that I really like to start in fantasy because they could have a game where they score 8 or 9 points, but wind up getting you 40 to 45 fantasy points with the rebounds and the blocks and the steals and the assists and all the other little things that they do on the floor. So I think he's another guy that you definitely want to take a look at today at the small forward spot. Moving on to the power forward spot, the guy who's been standing out as a guy who's been overproducing lately is Thad Young of the Brooklyn Nets. He's only $5,900, which is a pretty solid price tag for him, and I think he's in a pretty good spot today as well. If you need to go cheaper, you can look at a guy like Chris Humphrey, who's only $3,900, been getting some good minutes and putting up some good points. He's a big rebounder, gets a lot of rebounds for you, so he's definitely somebody who can pay off a price tag below $4K. If I wanted to pay up at the power forward position, I think I'm still going to be sticking with a guy like Paul Millsap. He's just been so good lately. He's so consistent, contributes across the board. His price never really changes. It never really moves up. And he's the one guy on that Atlanta Hawks team who plays big minutes. He's playing closer to 35, 36 minutes than the rest of the team, who's all playing somewhere around 30. Moving on to the center spot, I'm a big fan of Andrew Bogut today, especially if you got guys like Draymond Green out. he's going to be asked to play a few more minutes and handle a lot more of the rebounding, which is something that we can do, as we saw in his last game. He finally got back up to about 30 minutes. I think he put up 40 fantasy points or something crazy like that. So at a price below $5,000, if you can get 6, 7, 8x out of a guy, that's definitely something that you want to consider. If I'm paying up at the center spot, I do kind of like Brook Lopez a little bit today. He's 7,100, and basically the Nets run their entire offense through him. So he gets the ball in the post. He has chances to shoot. He rebounds a little bit. He also has chances to kick it out to guys for shots, which gets him a couple cheap assists. He'll get you a couple blocks, maybe a steal every now or then. So he does a lot of things that can add up to a pretty solid fantasy day. Plus his price is only 7,100. So it's not overly expensive. It's not cheap, but it's not overly expensive either. He can get you 6x at 7,100, wind up with 42 plus fantasy points, and really pay it off at low ownership. So those are my thoughts on the NBA for today. I know there was a lot of people asking me if I was going to put out a video. Tuesday's usually a big NFL day for me. The tight end and defense videos will be up a little bit later. I'm actually working on the quarterback, running back, and wide receiver ones right now. But because we had so many people asking, and because there's a lot of contests out there for NBA today, everybody's itching to spend that money that they just got paid from their Monday football games paying out. I figured I'd throw out a video so you guys have some, some ideas. Josh is going to be putting up some more tools later on today. He's probably also going to have an article that comes out on, his take on the slate for the FanDuel guys. So there'll be a lot of content up here at RotoCurve. Please make sure you look through it all. If you have any questions, you can always tweet at us or tweet at RotoCurve on Twitter, tweet at me at BennyR11, or just post something in the forums or in the chat. There's a lot of guys here that are always talking DFS. So it'll be nice, nice for you guys to come on over if you haven't tried it out already. Feel free to sign up. It's free to get an account over there. All the information we throw out is free as well. And hopefully it can help you guys win some money. So thank you for joining us here at rotocurve.com. And as always, stay classy, DFS.